Good morning. I've been ready to go for over an hour, sitting here pondering. I went to bed early last night, so I woke up really early this morning before 3, and I actually got out of bed at 3, within a couple of minutes anyway. And I'm realizing as I'm sitting here pondering, having had everything prepared, as I said, an hour plus ago, I'm realizing the gift that I'm offering people in doing daily videos, where you get to see the ups and the downs of a real life. So many people present their videos and stuff with their best face forward. Well, I've presented videos where my best face was not forward because that's life. That is really what it's about. We get surprised and challenged. And in fact, that's what today's topic is all about. The title that I've given it is 2012, Seeing Challenges as Opportunities. And I wrote a little blurb. My first reaction to a challenge is often resistance. I'll bet that is true for most humans. Do we not prefer life to go smoothly, uninterrupted by intense dramas that seem to steal our peace of mind? You know the answer. Still, as I sit in silence, my own heart presents me with something new, something I was not seeing clearly. The drama is not an enemy robbing me of my tranquility. It is a friend offering me the opportunity to tap into resources that were dormant within me. The possibility of becoming more than I had realized I am. Events over the previous day, and starting actually the previous night, were most troubling and most upsetting as I watched a situation in which family members were greatly challenged. Let's just put it that way. I'm not at liberty at this point to go into any details. However, it was extremely upsetting for me in that I was angry, as I started the video yesterday, and feeling very powerless. I mean, what can I do? Well, as the day went on yesterday, there were things that I can do. And as I was thrown off my course of the things that I was planning to do yesterday and ending up with a totally different focus than I had intended, I realized what I shared in the title this morning, that challenges are opportunities. I was being shifted in my consciousness by events to open up to possibilities that I hadn't quite seen that way before. It involves work, things that I'm going to have to do, things that I'm going to have to change, but it's an opportunity for personal growth. And I'd like to give every one of you this message, that when challenges come in your life, if you're willing to sit in stillness, if you're willing to be silent and just ponder in your own heart and listen with the ears of your heart, chances are you might see with the eyes of your heart things that you weren't seeing previously. It's opportunity knocking on your door, saying, will you let me show you something more than what you've been seeing? Consider that. Now, after I had prepared everything for today, as far as the blurb and the title, I read some of my emails, and one that came on the Gmail was a response to the Tim Turner video that I did a couple of days ago. in which I talked about Tim Turner's response to listening to Drake on the David Wilcock interview. In any case, Liahana, however you say her name, I'm not sure. It's all written together as one word, so I'm not sure. It could be Leah Anna or Lihana because it's all one word. Anyway, she wrote, Tim Turner cannot be elected president of anything except his own group. If there's no voting by the people, he's only president of his organization and nothing more. All the people must elect him, not his own insiders. There's no petitions filed within the U.S. federal courts that state he has any position within any government body within the U.S. I responded to her. Those that founded our republic in the 18th century were not elected by anyone either. At first, they were visionaries, rebels against the tyranny of a foreign king. They laid a foundation for then and now, one of reason based on recognition of what they saw as natural law being violated. No one claims perpetual right of leadership. Contrariwise, we who are the modern visionaries see ourselves as servants, willing to take risks to return freedom to the people from the criminals in power. And I want to make it, that's the end of my statement, I want to make it very clear that criminals have taken over the governments throughout the world. The United States has the rare privilege that many other nations do not have, in that we have the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights and constitutional protections, not giving people rights, but recognizing the rights that were inherent in being born a human being. The natural birthright of what it means to be human are rights granted by the Creator according to the Declaration of Independence and the foundational documents that came, a lot of the early documents came from the Iroquois nation and some of the Native American cultures, the Mohawks and I can't remember all of the tribes in the eastern United States at the time, but they had developed quite a nice confederation where they cooperated with each other. Now, I'm not going to say that all Native Americans worked in the spirit of cooperation, because that's just simply not the case, I don't believe. But in any case, they did in that eastern part of the United States, and the Native American people greatly influenced a different kind of thinking in some of the people that were willing to be the visionaries and the thinkers in that period of time. And they realized that the European domination system that was being imposed in the United States was not according to natural law. The Native Americans understood natural law. You live in harmony with nature. You don't own nature. You don't fight nature. You work in harmony with it. You recognize it as the natural way of things. And we, in our modern culture, since the corporation and the bankers stole the republic, they started stealing it right from the very beginning. I mean, their tentacles were there from the very beginning. As they, early on in the history of our republic, we set up rules that attorneys, those that took an oath to a foreign power, could not hold public office and could not be citizens in the United States Republic. They could not be citizens. They had no citizenship. All attorneys were barred. That's why they had the War of 1812. That was one of the main causes. And they actually burned many of the original documentation when they went into Washington, D.C., and they started all those fires and everything. The British didn't want that on the record because they wanted their plan, their long-term plan was to take over this nation, and they succeeded. And here in the 21st century, oh, these over 200 plus years later, they have totally made inroads into everything, and they are operating a criminal government. And this lady says it's not filed with the federal government. Well, the federal government knows that it's running on borrowed time. They know the foundation that was laid for the republic. They know it. That's why some Supreme Court rulings, even as late as last year, in June of last year, the Bond versus the United States, they unanimously recognized the sovereignty of the individual states and the sovereignty of individual people. They recognize that. Yet our government continues to operate as if we are not sovereign, as if they are the authority. And this lady says, Tim Turner and the Republic has no authority. You're right. It's not an authority recognized by a criminal government, and it probably will never be recognized by a criminal government. It will never be recognized by people that want to maintain the status quo. And there cannot be an election for all the people until the people are informed. And the media is controlled by the same criminals that control Washington, D.C., the District of Criminals, and the same people that control the international monetary system, namely the international bankers, the House of Rothschild, the House of the Rockefellers, and these other megalomaniacs that want to rule the entire world. But this challenge that's before the human race is an opportunity for us to go inside and transform our apathy, our laziness, our ignorance into something totally different. We have latent within us a flame of freedom, which is why I keep burning candles. And as you've noticed, I've gone to the 4 candles, because the 4 is stable. It's earth, 4 directions. Okay? It's the 4 corners of the earth. And we have been lied to. That's why we're ignorant. We have been misinformed. That's why we're ignorant. And people that have the vision and are willing to take the risks, as I said in my response to Miss Lihana, we are willing to take the risks and hold the positions that were created in the Republic, that were vacated and usurped by a corporation, a foreign power operating in the United States from the Vatican and from the Crown of England. And D.C., the District of Criminals, became the military arm of the empire envisioned by these, as I said, megalomaniacs, these pathological liars, these sociopaths and psychopaths that have risen to power, not just in the United States, folks. It's the entire world. So we are being presented with a challenge. As David Icke would say, the elite have wanted to rule over us, but they need us. That's why they're trying to get the population down to a more manageable size. Why they do the chemtrails. Why they do the genetically modified food. Why they do put poison in the vaccinations. Why the medicines that are being created by these multinational corporations are poison to the body and compromise the immune system. It's why there is this absolute war against consciousness, an absolute war against human beings, and an absolute war against nature. An inconvenient truth that they're concerned about the environment. No, what they're concerned about is controlling people and stealing people's resources and wealth. And they've done an excellent job of it. It's a tremendous challenge to live in this day and age when the whole world, the whole matrix, seems to be opposed to common sense because insane people are running the game. The police are supposed to be there to protect citizens. Instead, the police become those that rob from citizens, that plant false evidence in people's cars, and then arrest them and charge them with crimes that they didn't even commit. And don't think this doesn't go on in the United States and the rest of the world, because it happens every day. Every day. And these challenges that we face are opportunities for us to step back into our power, to become not only empowered and more enlightened, but ultimately to become enriched. Because the riches of the world is our own creative ability, our own ability to work and to envision and to create new things. And this is what's happening in the Republic. This is what's happening around the world as we envision a better way. Now, some of it's built on the foundation of the past, but the past wasn't perfect either. So there's going to be transition. There's going to be evolution. We're going to see new things as we make mistakes and don't get it perfect. We'll never please everybody. I mean, nobody's ever going to please everybody. I can't. Nobody can. You're always going to, no matter what you do, you're going to piss somebody off. And that's just the way it is, because we're all coming from our own point of view. We're all coming from our own self-interest, whether we want to admit that or not. Even those of us that serve others because that is our own best interest. I serve others because that's in my best interest. I feel better about myself when I'm in service to others. It's why I do daily videos. It's why I sacrifice not having a relationship right now, and not having, I'm even sacrificing my freedom to travel by staying in my house. That's a choice I'm making. Nobody's making me do that. That's a choice I'm making. There are benefits to that. There are also things that are challenges in that. But there are opportunities for me to go inside and to spend time with Ron and to get to know Ron even at a deeper level, and still be serving others, even staying pretty much within the confines of a very small radius of territory, so that wherever I go, I can be back in a half an hour or thereabouts. I'm very rarely ever gone more than a half an hour from my home. That's a choice. That's a choice. It's an opportunity to face some of my inner demons, if you will, some of my dragons, some of my challenges that are inside of me. And I face them, and I integrate them, and I start recognizing what I've most of my life fought as enemies. I'm starting to recognize them as allies. Again, seeing challenges as opportunities. And we are being given the opportunity through all that's happening in our world to grow up, to be empowered, to be enlightened, and as I said earlier, to be enriched. I'm going to leave you with these thoughts. And there's a lot to think about, I think, in this little message. And I hope it strikes a chord in your heart. And once again, I thank you very, very much for listening. Namaste.